if you need sleepers in week 2, we've got you covered. Sam and I will each give you 3 of our favorite sleepers for the week. Then we'll spend a few minutes answering your start-sit questions before we cap things off with our flaming hot, bold predictions. Sam, let's kick it off with you. Who is your first sleeper for week 2?
I'm gonna start out with I'm gonna go really deep. Like I'm deep cutting here.
Okay.
And I am going with a running back from the Jacksonville Jaguars who is not Bashal Tootin.
I like it.
I am going with LaQuint Allen Jr.
All right.
This is a guy that had 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons, his sophomore and junior years. In his junior year, he led the conference in touchdowns with 16. I think the most important part here to note that he has that Tootin doesn't is we normally count on ETN to be a pass catching back, but if they're going to run him as the number 1, they need somebody accomplished to catch the ball. LaQuint had 64 catches his last year in college. That's over a 13-game season. That's 5 catches a game, and was averaging almost 10 yards a catch. So I'm really, really liking him, and I think it's gonna confound people this week that are, everybody's all aboard the Bashal Tootin train. That's and he's going to be good, and he's going to be a featured back probably at some point. But right now, the way that it plays out is for ETN to spearhead the attack in the run game, and for somebody really accomplished like LaQuint to be catching balls out of the backfield. And the Bengals defense is one that is susceptible, of course. So, I'm all aboard. I think he's a great play this week.
Great play is a little strong, but I do like the call. He was out there. His NFL debut, even with Tank Bigsby still on the roster, I think he played about 14% of the snaps. He doubled up on Bashal Tootin. He played 80% of their long down and distance snaps in that game. So he's going to be out there. He's their pass catching back. He's going to be out there on third downs.
Yeah, that's correct. And even ETN wasn't in the game on third downs. It was almost exclusively LaQuint Allen.
Yeah, I think not many people, like you said, not many people are talking about LaQuint Allen. It's all after the Bigsby trade. It's been all what's this mean for Bashal Tootin? What's this mean for Bashal Tootin? He's going to break out at some point. He's going to be the guy. And I still think like he's probably if something happens to Travis Etienne, he's probably the guy that we want. But LaQuint Allen. Yeah. LaQuint Allen's going to have that consistent week-to-week role where he's the pass-catching back. And they're playing what? They're playing the Bengals this week. They're probably going to be playing from behind. There's going to be a lot of passing in that game. It could be, just enough snaps for LaQuint Allen to get touches and, give you, 10 PPR points.
I mean, and I'm a Bengals fan, as you all know. I could have done like an entire sleepers show on just Jaguars this week because I love De'Ami Brown too, and I love Britton Strange. I'm like, just put them all in. If you got a Jaguar or a Bengal, play them.
I feel like most weeks when we do this show, I end up picking somebody going against the Bengals just because that defense is so, it's vulnerable.
Yeah,
And
and
offense is so good
yeah.
that you need the opposing offense needs to throw the ball a lot and score a lot of points. So we want guys in that environment.
Well, and since you were unable to select somebody going against the Bengals this week, instead, you're going to turn around and use one of my favorite players against me. Is that correct?
That might be right. Why don't we just kick it right to him, Mr. Trey Benson? We'll let you have your moment in a minute, but don't get me wrong. This is still the James Conner backfield. Don't get ahead of ourselves here. But Trey Benson could absolutely be usable in deep leagues this week. In week 1, he got on the field for a third of the snaps. He reached that number just one time in 2024. He carried the ball 8 times, and he actually outgained James Conner by 30 yards thanks to his 52-yard run in the second half of that game. And looking at week 2, Trey Benson could absolutely get on the field for a healthy dose of touches once again. The Cardinals, they're at home against the Panthers. They're 6.5-point favorites. It's easy to see the Cardinals get out to a lead, be grinding the clock with a run game in the second half, the fourth quarter. And now we've got Trey Benson in the game against a Carolina defense who just got carved up by Travis Etienne for 140, by Travis Etienne of all people, for 143 yards on the ground in week 1. And that's it's nothing new for that defense. They were routinely gashed in 2024. They allowed the most fantasy points to the running back position.
Mm-hmm.
And with Trey Benson's 4.39 speed, he doesn't need a workhorse role to pay off in fantasy football. We saw it just last week. He's more than capable of breaking off long runs. He could get you 10 plus points on one carry. 40-yard touchdown, boom, there you go. He paid off for you. So if you're looking for a deep sleeper with upside, Trey Benson's your guy.
Trey Benson is awesome. He is, and it is not a James Conner backfield anymore. It is a James Conner and Trey Benson backfield.
It might be. But I'm still not gonna go where you were trying to go with things in the preseason, saying that he's gonna take over this backfield at some point. I'm not there yet. But he did more.
He looked good last week, though, man. I'll tell you what.
He did more of the running for a long gain than he did running into the back of his offensive line. I will give you that. Right. So I liked what I saw in week 1. I'm back on board.
I love it. I'm. You know what, man? I'm with you.
And he's still only 50% rostered on Yahoo leagues.
See, for me, he's not even a sleeper. Like he's just in my lineups, like ad nauseum.
All right, who do you got as your second sleeper?
My second. Let's see. Well, Alex, I do always try to bring a tight end to the table. Do I not?
That's right. That's our tradition.
At this point, the tight end pool is so saturated with guys that are just kind of like they're playable. You know what I mean? And whether they pop or not, they've all got pretty much the same chance of popping one week and just completely not the next.
Yeah, there's one big tier right in the middle there.
Yeah, it's enormous. It's enormous. We haven't had that in quite a while. So for this week, my sleeper is gonna be Jonnu Smith for the Steelers. We know what's going on there. He and Freiermuth are both pass catching tight ends. Not really. I mean, they can block, but a lot of times you have these teams where you have one tight end who is always stuck on the line, and the other one is the one that, gets featured in the passing game. Freiermuth and Jonnu, last week, Freiermuth had 3 targets. Jonnu had 6. Freiermuth had 3 catches for like 28 yards. Jonnu caught 4 of his 6 passes. His yards per catch were suspect at best. They were pretty short. But he also found the end zone. You know what I mean? And that's the most important part. Of course, that a lot of times you lean on these guys who have been with the team for a while. They know how everything operates. They've got the head coach on their side and stuff like that. And that would be Pat Freiermuth. But it's rare that you get this situation where you get Arthur Smith, who very, very clearly has favorites. He always has. I mean, if Cordero Patterson could still walk, he'd be playing. But yeah, so I really like Jonnu this week. I like both tight ends, to be honest with you, but I like Jonnu maybe to find the end zone again for the second week in a row.
Yeah, Arthur Smith definitely has that affinity for Jonnu Smith. I mean, he's had him in every stop he's made. He had him in Tennessee. He brought him to Atlanta. And now he brought him to Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers looked competent last week. I will give you that. The offense greatly exceeded expectations.
Like 4 touchdowns, competent.
He looked like Packers Aaron Rodgers a little bit there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the offense exceeded expectations, and Jonnu Smith. I think what's great about Jonnu Smith is he's got such versatility that even with that established, traditional tight end in the offense like Pat Freiermuth, he can still get there. We saw that a couple of years ago when he was playing with Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith on the field at the same time, and Jonnu Smith outscored Kyle Pitts half the time in that offense.
Right. Well, I mean, this is a guy that last year had 88 catches for 800 something yards and 8 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for a tight end. That's a really, really good season. And, people kind of talked about it while it was happening, but nobody kind of went after the season and went, wow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they line him up at tight end. They line him up in the slot. They line him up out wide. He even gets snaps in the backfield. He gets carries. He gets pop passes. He's a fun player. So there's definitely going to be weeks where he's going to get there for you. It's not going to be what it was last year in Miami. It's just never going to be that again in this environment. But I like the call.
Especially not with another pass catching tight end on the roster too.
Right. All right, let's get on to my second sleeper. This one's going to probably be the deepest one we talk about tonight. That is going to be Elic Ayomanor, the rookie wide receiver of the Titans.
Wait, you're saying that's deeper than LaQuint Allen?
All right, it's the deepest I'm going to talk about.
Okay, all right.
I think they're pretty equal there. On the surface, Elic Ayomanor, he was really quiet last week. I think he had 2 catches. I don't even know. I don't even remember what the numbers were. However, if we dig deeper, we'll see that he's actually looking like he's going to be a major part of this offense. He had an 82% route participation rate in week 1. He had an impressive 28% target share. He was top 12 among all NFL wide receivers in first read target share, that's a pretty big deal. He was top 5 in air yards, top 12 in air yards share, and he was number 1 among all NFL wide receivers in unrealized air yards. So he's being targeted down the field. They just didn't connect. It was the Broncos defense. They didn't connect. Rookie quarterback, rookie wide receiver in the NFL debut just didn't connect, but he's getting the targets and he's getting valuable targets down the field. This is a good wide receiver. I liked him coming out of Stanford this year. I actually thought he was going to be probably a second-round pick. He slipped to day 3, but he's got good size. He's athletic. He plays physical. Actually comped him to a faster, more explosive Jawan Jennings. I like their play style and just how they play on the outside. They're versatile. And he looked good in training camp. He looked good in preseason. He was named a starter by the coaches going into week 1. And now he gets the Rams in week 2. They're not a cakewalk defense, but they're certainly not the toughest matchup in the world either. Like they had last week. It's certainly going to be easier than the Broncos were in week 1. Cam Ward should have more time to throw. They'll actually have better success connecting on some of those downfield plays like I talked about. And Ayomanor, he's an interesting dart throw if you need a desperation flex play. He's rostered in just 7% of Yahoo leagues. I think he's got upside to score as a top 36 wide receiver in week 2.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said there for the fact that if your desperation reach, for a sleeper is somebody that's, starting on the field and is there getting routes every single down, then you can do a lot worse than, grabbing somebody's wide receiver 2. So already there, he's got a leg up, and that offense can't be any worse than it was last week, for sure, because they just had so much trouble. Not that they looked bad, but it was a tough matchup.
Yeah.
So this week, I think they're gonna have a little more leeway, and certainly Cam Ward, maybe he's got some of the jitters out now and the butterflies. So he can kind of take command of that pocket. But I like that pick, Alex, quite a bit.
Yeah, the Rams are going to feel like, they're playing a high school defense compared to what they had last week.
Yeah. Okay. My third and final one, and I really hate that I've got 2 players from the AFC North here, and neither one of them are Cincinnati Bengals. My third and final is hands down, and I don't know, to me, he's not even a sleeper, but maybe to other people he is. Cedric Tillman needs to be rostered in every league, and he's not. And that is a crime. This dude had trouble getting on the field because Amari Cooper was there. And then as soon as Amari got traded last year before week 7, Tillman went on a run where he was just matching Jerry Jeudy in numbers across the board from week 7 through week 12. And then unfortunately Tillman had a concussion and missed the remainder of the season. But he actually outproduced Jeudy, I believe, in 5 of those 6 games, if I'm not mistaken. And their numbers at the end of the day, Tillman had 44 targets and 26 catches, and Jeudy had 42 targets, 25 catches, 1 TD for him, 3 for Tillman. So I'm not saying that he's like the number 1 now. But I'm saying that he's getting plenty of looks. What?
I said, I'll say it. He's the number 1 now.
I don't think he's number 1 right now, but he's getting tons of looks. And I think the best part is if there's one thing you can say about Joe Flacco is he does not discern from one guy to another. I swear to God, it's like he doesn't even know who he's throwing to. He just sees the color and is like, that's the guy. He doesn't really play favorites except for that little streak last year with Njoku. But yeah, so he's a fair dude. Whereas, Rodgers is always going to look for Devontae Adams and then, look elsewhere. So I think Tillman, I think he finds the end zone this week. I think 50 yards easily is attainable again. This is a double-digit score this week, no question about it.
Yeah, so every week I make a video with starts, sits, sleepers, all that stuff. And I talked about Cedric Tillman as my boom bust player of the week. I thought he could go boom. I love this matchup. I love his situation. And you mentioned those games last year after they traded Amari Cooper, before his concussion. In those 4 games, he averaged 18.6 fantasy points per game. He only scored less than 18 points one time in those 4 games. He had a 22% target share over that stretch. He was on his way to being a must-start wide receiver. And now I love this matchup against the Ravens. He played them in that stretch last year.
Yeah.
7 catches, 99 yards, 2 touchdowns in week 8. He was the wide receiver 3 overall that week. And you talked about Joe Flacco. The Browns, they trust Joe Flacco to drop back like 40 plus times.
Yeah.
He averaged in 2023 when he was their starting quarterback at the end of the season for 6 games, including that one playoff game. He averaged 42 pass attempts over that stretch. Joe Flacco. They're going to be playing from behind.
You're talking about elite Joe Flacco?
Elite volume Joe Flacco, absolutely. Yeah, they're going to be playing from behind. There's going to be a lot of points scored, at least on the Ravens side of things. And I think, Flacco's going to have to throw the ball a lot. And I think Cedric Tillman's going to be a big beneficiary of that because he is the wide receiver 1 in that offense, in my opinion.
I like it.
All right.
Who you got? Bring it home. Number 3.
So full disclosure,
man, we've got some really good ones this week.
I think so.
And we had some pretty good ones last week too.
We had a couple of hits. We had a couple of misses.
A little Pop Douglas.
Negative 2 yards, but he got the touchdown.
Negative 2 yards.
But he got the touchdown. That's all that matters.
Touchdown.
Yeah. Josh Palmer had a good game. Brenton Strange had a good game. I can't remember who my other guy was, but Ollie Gordon and Woody Marks were busts. But I think we hit 4 of 6 last week. Were really solid plays.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Pretty good hit rate. All right, let's get to Khalil Shakir. This one is probably the least deep of the guys that we're going to talk about tonight. He's rostered in 80% of Yahoo leagues, which we usually go deeper. But full disclosure, I was going to talk about Michael Mayer, the Raiders' number 2 tight end. But we got the news that Brock Bowers is very likely going to play on Monday Night Football today. So I pivoted to Khalil Shakir. But if anything does happen to the Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, I think he's that rare tight end handcuff that you can lean on if the starter goes down. So anyway, let's get to Khalil Shakir. He was healthy for week 1 after missing most of the summer with an ankle injury. He quietly had a productive game against the Ravens. I don't remember seeing him in that game at all, but he caught 6 passes for 64 yards. He was actually second on the team with a 20% target share. And he was limited. He wasn't limited at all coming off the injury. 91.5% route participation rate. He was on the field full role for him last week. And now he gets a Jets defense that just made Aaron Rodgers look like Packers Aaron Rodgers in week 1. And on the other side, the Jets offense looked good last week. And now they're going against the Bills defense, which gave up 40 points in week 1. But as long as the Jets can hold their own in this game, Josh Allen is going to have to keep the pedal to the metal on his end of things. So this game has a real possibility to turn into a little bit of a shootout and produce a lot of fantasy points. And it's likely that Keon Coleman is going to get the Sauce Gardner treatment for the much of this game, which should allow Khalil Shakir to eat from the slot. There's a real chance that he leads this team in targets in this game, I think. And we know he can take advantage of those opportunities. He finished as a top 36 wide receiver or better in 10 games last season. So he might not be on your waiver wire like some of the other guys that we talk about tonight, but he's probably sitting on your bench. Fire him up, put him in the flex spot. I feel really good about Khalil Shakir. He can get you, 15 fantasy points this week, I really believe.
Yeah, I still can't get used to somebody saying that Keon Coleman is going to draw the tight coverage.
He's gonna.
It's upsetting to me.
I know.
Like I've said it once, I've said it a million times. The guy runs like Phoebe Buffet. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
The Jets are going to see what he did last week, how involved he was, and they're going to say, Sauce, that's your guy.
I understand. Look,
it's not going to be Josh Palmer.
He's got a background as a basketball player. He comes down with contested catches. I understand that, but I think Shakir is the more reliable player on that team. But, he plays out of the slot a lot. So, right. Maybe he doesn't get the same yards per catch as Keon does. But I love Shakir. He's one of my more favorite players in the league right now.
Yeah, so thanks to Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir is going to get Michael Carter instead of Sauce Gardner. That's a big difference.
Yeah, that sounds nice for him.
All right. So before we get to our bold predictions and before we get to your questions in the chat, I just want to remind people that we do a start-sit show every Sunday about 12:15 Eastern time. We go all the way up to kickoff. Right here on the Yards Per Fantasy YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss that. All we do is sit here and just answer your questions. None of our other, nonsense. Just your nonsense. But speaking of your nonsense, why don't we get to a couple of questions before we hit our flaming hot, bold predictions for week 2, or at least mine. I don't know if Sam came up with one, but I got a pretty good one. You don't want to miss that. So let's just grab a couple of these questions that are in here. This one says, full PPR, start 2 of these running backs. Dylan Sampson, Nick Chubb, Jordan Mason, Kenneth Walker, David Montgomery. Let's start with the running backs here. 2 of these guys, PPR.
2?
Yeah.
I understand that Walker didn't look great last week, but I'm not buying the fact that he's like cooked. I mean, everybody's talking about him like he's got nothing left, and I'm not buying it. And I especially am not going to buy it from an NFL player. Hearing people saying that all week and not coming out. I mean, they're not just going to come out and start Charbonnet. You know what I mean? I'm definitely
a 2-touch difference.
I'm definitely playing Walker, and for the safe floor, I'm going Montgomery. You know what? I'm going Montgomery and Walker regardless. I don't know what's going to happen with Sampson, especially when they're going to try to put the ball in Judkins' hands a couple times, and I'm still out on Chubb. So, I mean, he did well last week, better than I expected, but still. So give me the Give me, well, I almost said give me the old guys. Nick Chubb is like 150. Give me Montgomery and Walker, please.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way we got to go. I think Mason and Montgomery are pretty close. And I do like Dylan Sampson, regardless of Quinshon Judkins this week. But I think if
Oh,
you've got,
wait. I didn't see Mason.
yeah, Mason's in there.
Okay, Walker and Mason. Walker and
All right.
Mason.
I think you could probably flip a coin between Mason and Montgomery. I think they're pretty close. Similar roles. It's but
It's just Mason's so much more explosive.
And then we need to start 3 wide receivers: Tyreek Hill, Malik Neighbors, Ted McMillan, Keon Coleman, George Pickens. Bench 2 of these guys, start 3 of them. We definitely got to go Neighbors. I think we got to go Ted McMillan. He had a really good, healthy target share last week. I think he could break out week 2. So then it comes down to, do you trust Tyreek Hill? Do you want to go with Keon Coleman? Is it George Pickens? I think I might lean George Pickens as the 3rd wide receiver here.
Start 3. So Neighbors, Tet, and yeah, I think you got to play Pickens. I mean, I think Dallas is gonna spend this whole season throwing the ball, regardless of if they find somebody that can do an okay job in that backfield. They're still going to be throwing it way more than they're going to be running it. So, just on volume alone, I go Pickens.
Which side of this trade do you like for Aiden? He traded away Mike Evans and Travis Kelce, and he received A.J. Brown and Harold Fannin.
And this is redraft.
Mm-hmm.
I assume, yeah.
It feels fairly equal to me.
I mean, yeah, it feels all right. I guess the jury's still out on Fannin as far as how much playing time he's going to get, because I don't know that we can expect him to do what he did last week every single week. Because, I mean, Njoku's still there, and he's not going anywhere. So, I don't know if they're going to run more 12 personnel or what, but yeah, I don't know. I like the deal. I like the deal overall. I do like AJ Brown better than Mike Evans. I like them both. But I prefer AJ Brown, and I've got him for an anytime touchdown tomorrow.
Full PPR, flex spot: Aaron Jones, Michael Pittman, Calvin Ridley, or J.K. Dobbins. Pick one of these guys. I think I'm going back to Calvin Ridley.
Me too.
Yeah. Forgive him for last week. We knew that was going to happen. Patrick Surtain,
And he still didn't do too bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
he did 32% target share.
Yeah, and he didn't do any worse than anybody else on the team did.
How about from Reese? Flex spot: Zach Charbonnet, Dylan Sampson, Darnell Mooney, Khalil Shakir, or R.J. Harvey?
Well, are you going with your boy?
I think I might go Khalil Shakir here. It's between him or Charbonnet for me. Although it's hard to go against Mooney, but he's just coming back off the injury. Let's give him a week. I'm drawn to Sampson, but I think I'm gonna go with the Shakir here.
I don't have a problem with Shakir. I like Mooney better. But I'd be fine starting either one of those guys.
How about pick 2 between Cortland Sutton, Emeka Egbuka, Ted McMillan, and George Pickens?
Who's Denver playing this week?
Off the top of my head, I am blanking. Hold on.
I don't remember who it is either.
Well, who's your other choice? If it's not Sutton, it's the Colts.
Oh, they're playing the Colts?
Yeah, they're on the road against the Colts.
Oh, boy. Well, Daniel Jones is not going to light up Denver. So I think they're going to spend more time running the ball than they did last week. I'm taking Tet McMillan, and I'm letting it ride on Emeka Igdua until he shows otherwise. I mean, I know it's only been 1 week, but I'm all about Igbuka, man.
So we're going with the two rookies here?
What's that?
We're going with the two rookies?
I'm going with the two rookies.
I like it. I'm very close to saying Sutton, but we got to do Igbuka for sure.
I feel weird going against Sutton because, he's pretty consistent. Last year, he was very consistent. I just don't see them having to throw the ball much against the Colts.
Yeah, I agree with that. Tet's. I think I'm going to go with you. Go with the two rookies here.
Rookies.
All right. Did you come up with a bold prediction?
Yeah, of course I did. What are you talking about?
Hit us with it.
Huh?
What is it?
Oh, you want my bold prediction?
Yeah, let's hit it. Let's hear it.
Oh, well, I'm living in the AFC North today, right? And I'm still not playing the homer card. I'm going back to Pittsburgh again. This week, Calvin Austin is going to finish in the top 5 of wide receivers in fantasy points.
Top 5 for Calvin Austin, huh? Is this a anti-DK Metcalf take? Or just a Calvin Austin take?
I'm not a big DK fan, but I am also very, very excited about what Calvin Austin has been doing since last season. And if you saw any of the game in week 1, man, he looks electric out there. I mean, his cuts are crisp. He's not lollygagging, which I think he had a little bit of a problem with last year. And I think this is going to be a breakout season for him. And I'm calling it right now. It's going to start in week 2.
4 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown last week. I like it. I think he can at least do that again. He's gonna completely blow the DK Metcalf revenge game.
Yeah. Well, maybe DK Metcalf is gonna blow the DK Metcalf revenge game.
Is this gonna be like Terrell Owens catching like 20 balls on Jerry Rice Day?
Sure.
You don't remember that many years ago?
Yeah. When Terrell Owens is like, stop paying attention to that old man.
All right. Let's finish it off with my bold prediction. Don't forget, we do a start sit show tomorrow at 12:15. So anything that we missed, hit us up there. My bold prediction. So I'm also staying in the AFC North for this one.
What are we doing?
I'm going to head over to Cleveland, where I think the Browns, we talked about a little bit earlier, the Browns are going to be playing from behind. I talked about how Joe Flacco, he threw 40 times last week. He averaged 42 pass attempts per game in the 6 starts, including the playoffs where the Browns had him as their starting quarterback back in 2023. He's got good weapons. He's got Cedric Tillman. He's got Jerry Jeudy. He's got David Njoku. He's got Harold Fannin emerging now. Don't give me that look. Don't give me that look.
Where are you going with this?
I'm going bold.
Where you're going with this?
I'm going bold. The Ravens just allowed 394 passing yards to some guy named Josh Allen in week 1. So that means the veteran, the elite, the old man Joe Flacco is going to step up. He's going to throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns against the Ravens. He's going to finish week 2. Joe Flacco as a top 5 fantasy quarterback.